Okay, now seeing that it's 6 o'clock, I'm going to call the Wage and Personnel meeting Monday, November 10th at 6 p.m. to order. We have a full board this evening. Lorraine and I are here, and Derek is via Zoom. The meeting's recorded by Zoom. Anyone intending to make an audio video recording at this meeting should notify the chair at this time. I'm not seeing anything. Items may be taken out of order at the discretion of the chair. Lorraine has an announcement. Could you please?
Yeah, I was on the website today and I was interested because there's the library's hosting a food drive for the Plymouth Area Coalition. And it's that time, there's a lot of stuff going around, and just to let people know that, yes, you can drop a bag or even a can at the library, regular business hours, but it's just, there are going to be people that need food.
Yep.
You know how long they're doing?
No, I do not know.
Okay.
I do not know.
All right. I'm sure maybe on the library page we could find.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just looked at the top and I said, oh, we should share that because
Okay, great.
you have an opportunity to share it. Thank you.
Okay. Next is Tina, Tina Betty, the Human Resources Director, with an update.
Okay. So we have the admin for Board of Selectmen HRIT posted. We've gotten a number of applicants from it, mainly from Indeed. Of those applicants, so far maybe a handful might be qualified. So we're plugging through that. So that's open recruitment still. I don't think I said this last time, but I may have. We reopened the building commissioner recruitment. We have a handful of applicants. Of those handful, there's maybe 2 or 3 that have building commissioner experience. And then just to make you all aware that in the meantime, because we can't go without a building commissioner, we are doing, I think I said this last time, we're doing an employment contract for a building commissioner to do like 19 hours a week, like a consulting contract, but because the building commissioner has to be an employee, we have to bring him in that way. So we have a contract being worked on there. We have had other building commissioners from surrounding towns coming to do work for us for inspections. One of those currently a building commissioner status or credentialed, but does this as an independent contractor now. They are doing the pay by inspection, but will also be billing us for 10 hours a week or what have you. For building commissioner work, we can have one true building commissioner that has to be an employee. And so that will be one of these gentlemen. And then the other one will do building commissioner type work. And as of right now, will just invoice us through his company. But I believe they have to still be both appointed to by Board of Selectmen and sworn in. So we're getting the ins and outs on that. And then in that department, not sure if you're aware, we have the former building commissioner that retired a number of years ago, but stayed on to do inspections and ADA public building compliance. They have stepped down from that, so they're not doing additional work for us anymore. And combination of all that with recruitment, we have the admin that's in that office who was also supposed to be working the planning side of the house, a split time between building and planning, as well as the town planner have taken on additional duties. And so that's how we're kind of piecemealing building commissioner or building department work right now. But that's recruiting. And tell me.
Yeah, I have a question. Could you do me a favor? The explanation that you just gave me.
Yeah.
Could you send me an email
of all those different parts? Is that what you're talking about? Yep.
Yeah, and
And you are Lorraine. You come up automatically. Sometimes there's another R or LB that comes through. And I'm like, oh, shoot. I will send that.
Yeah, no, because I'd like to really
of course,
check it out. Because it's a little complicated, not complicated.
It's complicated.
And I'd rather just see it come in nicely, and
Agreed.
That way it's very clear.
Yeah.
Very clear.
And so hopefully when we get a candidate to bring through as commissioner, likely to the board, because I'm sure it'll be above a step 3. I probably will reiterate all that, but I'll put it in writing.
Yeah.
And I will say some of the applicants that applied last time as well as this time, some of the pushback that we're getting, in addition to salary, is vacation time. So I don't know, in the big picture of things, if we all want to be thinking about how to be able to use vacation time as a negotiating tool. Because as we've talked about before, a lot of our lease department heads are coming in with years of experience, and to start them back at 2 weeks. I know I hear what they're saying, and it's a competitive market out there. So that's what I wanted to bring up. Questions, comments?
Where is the job being advertised?
I have a list of it upstairs. We did same resources as last time, but we added a few others. I can get you the names. The names aren't familiar with me enough, but
Can you throw it on that email?
Yep.
too? Yeah, that way you'll have a
That's
Yeah.
make one-stop shop.
one-stop shop.
absolutely,
and-
absolutely. And
So
Derek,
we
I'll
have
put that.
referrals.
I will BCC you members. I'll put you on it. So Derek, you'll be on it as well, just so you have it. And then you'll have it. So
Thank you very much.
Derek, any questions from your end?
Mute.
Yeah.
No.
You gotta do it.
Oh my gosh, that took way too long to get unmuted.
Sorry.
I apologize.
I always like to give you an opportunity to
Operating
speak.
on multiple
waving at 'em,
monitors
going,
and my mouse decided to go to California or something. I don't know. I sincerely apologize for that. Tina, can you just go over what your process is for evaluating the resumes that go in, just kind of for my edification, if you don't mind? And really
Sure.
high level. I don't need a lot of, but I
Sure,
would
sure.
imagine with so many coming in.
So for this particular position, we have a search committee. It's made up of most of the same members that we've had for the 2 other recruitment cycles we've had for this position over the past year and a half. The last recruitment cycle, in addition to the town planner, health agent, deputy fire chief, we included a building commissioner from a surrounding town. And then this time, in addition to all those people, it will also include our employment contract building commissioner for Kingston. So applications come in, I don't cull through them. Whenever I do a posting, I say to a department head or whoever, the hiring manager, do you want me to cull through them? Do you want me to give you everyone? They wanted to see everyone, so I pass those along. And we get together at an appropriate time, once we have enough candidates or at least a couple of people we don't want to lose. We come together, discuss, come up with who we want to interview. We come up with a standard set of questions that we ask all the applicants. Those include, behavioral type things. What would you do in this type of situation? And then what we've added this last time around, because we had a building commissioner on the search committee, is specifics. Like, this is a situation, how have you handled it? And so with the commissioner of a surrounding town being on the board, they've been able to say, yep, these are the 5 things you're supposed to hit, and they hit the ball, or they did not, kind of a thing. And then from that, depending on how many candidates, there is usually a second interview with a town administrator. References get checked, negotiations start at the last candidate. And then depending on where we fly with that, it usually ends up here if it needs to be above a step 3. And then at the same time, we're kind of getting ready to go to Board of Selectmen, so we don't miss any agenda dates. And then hopefully get someone on the agenda with a verbal yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Tina?
No.
Okay. A couple of things that I wanted to try to get started with this evening is you guys should have gotten possible bylaw amendments
Yeah.
for 2027. What I'd like to do is I think we basically need this meeting, December's meeting, and January's meeting to kind of finish them all.
Fill it out, yeah.
Fill it out, get our language, check whatever we have to check, and so forth. There's probably several of them that we can handle quickly.
Yeah.
So, again, whatever we decide from the, say, the 16 item list
Mhm.
will determine what the agenda will be for December's meeting.
Sure.
And then from there, we'll have the agenda for January's
January,
meeting.
yep.
Okay, because there'll be some things that, for instance, change for sealer weights and measures position. What are the changes?
Yeah.
Where's the list? What,
Yeah.
is
If
it
at
a
all.
reclass?
Yep.
Or are
Yep.
we just,
That's
so,
yep.
so I think what I'd like to do is just go through them with everybody and
Sure.
then kind of, if we could, rate them in terms of, if we have to have some requirements for Tina to come back to us with, let's highlight those positions so we gives her time to get the job done. And that's basically what I wanted to try to accomplish this evening. So that being said, I'll start right with number one, delete position of administrative assistant veterans.
Yep.
The reason, one question I have about that is we are about to enter a situation where we're going to have a veterans agent shared with another town.
Mhm.
There'll be increased costs, however, there'll be shared costs.
Yeah.
Is there still a need or not for an administrative assistant giving that new, because I think when we did this list, that wasn't done.
Well, so the reason why it's a delete out of this is because it will move to KTU. The position will continue, but it's
Okay.
going to
Okay.
the union.
All
Yeah.
right, so that one we can take off the list.
As it has to happen.
We
right?
have to
You take
delete
off
it
the
in the
thing.
bylaw.
KTEAU.
Yeah, we have to have it as far as a bylaw delete, but we
Yes.
don't have to.
And
spend
do
any
anything
more
else
time.
with it.
All right,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
bylaw delete.
Because we had started at one point, we weren't deleting jobs because it would have
Right.
been so painful to go
Bring it
back
back.
in.
This is gonna live
And
something
then I
else.
saw
Yeah.
these two and I went, why are we doing that again? So if they're
Yeah.
going to KT, are they both going to KT? No.
Nope, just the assistant, sorry, the admin assistant in the veterans.
Okay,
office. Yeah.
so what
Okay.
happened to the program coordinator?
I don't know.
Well, again,
Yeah.
the idea, refreshing some memory,
Yeah.
the idea of the program coordinator was that the director of the COA,
Took over.
well, and they got an assistant. And part of their responsibility was to become the program director.
Yep.
Has that changed?
The assistant is still responsible for the program coordination. I think to your point earlier, in the past at least, it was, we didn't take the positions off in case
Yeah.
we needed them in the future. So if it comes off, I think that's a board decision. And if in the future somewhere it might need to go back on, then it just starts from scratch.
Okay, and again, that position, in my opinion, I don't have a problem deleting it. Okay, for the simple reason that, it was brought to light when we did the assistant to the COA
Yeah.
about this position.
And there was a
And-
change too. There was an increase for to the assistant director.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, we did make some changes,
There were-
so,
Yeah, they
um,
made changes.
so, do you think we should vote it as a board?
Can I just interject
Yeah.
for a second? So as of right now, anyway, the rec department has a program coordinator. Is that a separate is that a separate line item? Okay, it is a separate thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah,
was.
okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure.
So I think
because
it said
that's
COA.
Yeah, that's still happening.
Double check it.
That ultimately should end up in KTU as well, but we've been going back and forth for the past year or so to
I'm
finish
looking
out
at
some
one,
things.
that's, what is
The
it?
programs
And
and
property
property
Yes,
coordinator.
that's still on there. Okay.
That's Park and Rec,
Program
right?
coordinator, COA,
Yep,
okay. Full-time exempt administrative,
That's for the
step
COA.
six. Yeah.
And
that's
that's,
COA.
yeah, that's our,
All right. So I would propose that we vote on it a board. Derek, do you have any questions about it? Okay. I'll take a motion then, unless you have any questions, Lorraine?
no, none whatsoever. I would move to delete the program coordinator, COA, FTE, on Schedule A.
As part of the bylaw amendments for
As-
2027.
Correct.
Second, Derek? Just a nod.
You have my second. Yes.
All right, thank
Okay.
you. All right, I'll take the vote. Derek,
Yes.
Lorraine,
Yes.
Jim, yes.
Okay.
All right,
that
so that's
makes
just
sense.
gonna have to go into the bylaw right up, all right?
2 out of 16 is pretty good.
Well, again, I think some of this is we can just do, but
Very
some of it
simple,
is
yeah.
gonna require us to
Drill in.
figure out, maybe assign some responsibilities to some people, sit with some people, go ask some questions of some people.
Yep.
And so forth. The position reclass for the veterans agent. I am assuming that you guys are kind of riding that bike as you're building it as you're riding it.
Yep.
And
That's
so that's
Um,
probably going to be a January item. Give you time to get it done.
So right now, an employment contract's being worked on
Good.
because we're in process, right? Whether that continues past, I have to go back and see if it was just put it on there. Because we talked about what happens if the neighboring community wants to out. My recommendation would be, I think we talked about this before, keep the veterans agent as is, no reclassification right now. We'll do the employment contract because it's two towns working for one position working for two towns. And then if we ever go back to we have it in there.
Well, and I think honestly, legally, with with the law as it
Yeah.
relates to the veterans agent, I don't want to take the veterans agent
Right.
off the bylaw.
Right,
Because we have a veterans agent.
right.
Okay, so,
And there's statutory restrictions and requirements, and it would be very difficult.
you have to have
something
one.
back in,
You have to have one.
because the challenge may come saying, well, why don't we have one?
Right.
We don't think there'll be a reclassification for fiscal 27.
Okay, so
Okay,
I would tend to just leave it alone
Mhm.
on the bylaw and just take it off this list.
Yeah, I can remove.
yeah.
Yeah, so there's nothing we have to do with it, okay? Performance review process.
Right, so this was on my wish list to do.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if I'll be able to get to it before the December deadline.
Okay, well, it's January,
Well, the bylaw
It's
changes this
December.
December.
December, okay.
Yeah,
All right, so, film at 11?
yeah.
Sure, if I
I'm just
can
saying,
get
if
to
you can
it,
get to it,
I mean,
right.
seriously, like, on the surface, it's a paragraph, right? But it will need to be more because there'll be forms that have to be added to
understand.
it, all of that, so.
All right,
Yeah.
so that's going to go to December. And we'll get an
as a
update,
possibility.
right, okay?
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
Yeah, define which positions need to be sworn in and which positions have appointment terms.
Yeah, so that does need to happen and I have a list.
Okay, you'll be ready at the next meeting,
I will try and get it to you before the next meeting,
Yep,
so that way you
we
guys
can
can just look
discuss,
at it. Yeah,
okay?
the list is from legal, and so, between the Board of Selectmen's office, the clerk's office, and my office, it seems like years we've been working on who gets sworn in, what positions need to be appointed, not appointed, blah, blah, blah. Annually, all of that. And so, in working with legal, they went through our bylaws, not just wage and personnel, but the bylaws in general, and, what is, required, and gave us a list. Although I will tell you, a question came up today where we were like, well, how do we play that one out, right? And so, but I can get you a list of what legal has said. And so all I'm envisioning is in those positions in Exhibit A, where the listing,
Schedule A?
yeah, Schedule A is, some type of marker
Yep,
to say sworn in, appointed by, whatever.
This is a footnote?
Yeah.
okay.
Does anybody maintain a master list of all
Oh, what?
committees that are appointed, that are positions that are elected, term?
I think the clerk's office does.
Mhm,
On the positions that are sworn in, the clerk has a record,
Yeah,
right.
okay?
but who's on what, like committees and things like that?
No, I
know.
don't.
Yeah,
That's on the website,
right,
but.
but
But you don't have a master, and when I'm,
there might be, I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and the master, we had the master, and I did the master.
sure.
So I knew who was elected, who was appointed, what their term.
Yeah,
was.
the listings I've seen from the clerk's office does
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah, good.
Because
Yeah,
that's how it populates the website.
that I don't know.
I'm guessing that's where they get it from.
I
Because
think,
if you look up somebody's, it'll say their term expires X.
right, I don't know if one equals the other. I think it's more of, oh, we need to update that.
Gotcha.
Okay, cool. All right.
All right,
Number 6.
so we'll have that.
Yep.
Hopefully for December,
Yep.
okay?
Okay.
Add in-depth background checks for department head candidates.
That will happen. Yep, I have
That's
it.
December as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Document the sick donation process.
Again, I'll try to get to it.
What the change for the sealer weights and measures position? I'm not familiar with it.
So, well, this is the one that I had said back when Keith was here. Our current sealer had said that they're going to retire.
Yeah.
At the end of this fiscal year. And so there was talk about, do we want to go with other towns? Do we want to, there's organizations that do it. Do we need to do something with the money? And so I had given Keith, research from the other, just my listserv information, how to do it. There wasn't a decision made. I do believe the person has physically given their retirement, which I actually have to look at to make sure, because I got to send something out if that's the case. So I think unless there's some movement to that before December, and without a TA in place, I'm not sure if we can do that, like should do that, not can, of course we do anything, almost anything we want. So it might just be status quo and then maybe revisit it for 28.
Well, do we have somebody coming into the position?
No, because I haven't, I need the official resignation in order to post the job and get it going.
Okay.
So I don't have that piece yet. I believe
Okay.
it was just given,
Okay.
like literally just given.
Do we have job description and
I think we have the job
all that
description.
stuff?
Yeah,
Okay.
I will.
So
I will.
We're
look at
not.
that.
You're
Yeah.
not starting at zero.
I don't think
Okay.
so.
Okay.
I do think it's out there because I believe I gave what we had, at least from very, very, very old documents,
Right.
to Keith. Again, I think it was more, I'll look at my notes again, but I thought I had brought it up here. The current incumbent had suggested that we might be paying too much. And so I don't know if that means revisit that.
You did bring it up.
Yeah,
It's in
one of the minutes, yeah.
A minute.
So I don't know if that's something to revisit in the big picture of how, if we're going to keep this as it's just a regular position like we've always had it, it's in wage and personnel as I think it's a stipend, right?
Mhm.
Then maybe we look at the salary, but I'd have to post it first. I mean, I'd have to, in order to get that person going, right? So if we're gonna change the salary, typically how that timing works is we have the annual town meeting, bylaw changes happen beyond you guys, positions get voted in, whatever the case may be. And then starting in May or April, whatever the town meeting is, that's when I start recruiting to get ready for a July 1 start. So I think a similar thing would happen here.
So basically keep us updated.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
if there's got to be a change of something,
Yeah. just
We'll
make sure
know.
to get it in.
okay,
Yep.
so that's
Is there
Derek's
any-
change in the definition of the exempt. Go ahead, Derek. I'm sorry.
Yeah, is there any thought for the sealer of weights and measures to try to combine that position with another town, similar to what we're doing with veterans agent, or contract with the state? And I don't know if that would be financially beneficial or not, but
So
just
I
kind of
had,
putting it out there.
yeah, I had done some research and all that and given it to Keith. They, the research that came back was kind of hit or miss about whether it's combining with another town or going to the state. I will look back on my notes because I do think there's some positions that include it, or that position falls under building instead of board of selectmen, like that kind of, like it does here. So that kind of stuff might be tweaked out, but I remember being surprised that that was a recommendation to go to the state or whatever conglomerate does that for multiple towns. And then the feedback I was getting from the towns that were doing it was, we probably could just have kept it ourselves, or we're changing back to keeping it ourselves, that kind of thing. But I think the possibility is there.
Okay.
So I'm just looking at it from like a finance perspective, any chance that
Yeah.
we can I mean, the state gives us enough unfunded mandates. It would be great to just shove something back in their face, but
It would be nice. My pet peeve, unfunded mandates. Okay.
Okay, so basically what we're going to do is see what happens. When is this person retiring?
The end of the year,
End of the year. So
the fiscal year.
July, June 30th.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
all right. We have time.
That's what I
Okay,
mean. That's
well, we
why,
have time.
yeah.
Okay. And even if we had to change the position,
Yeah.
we still have time. It'd be outside, but we know this is coming
Yeah,
versus somebody from a board coming to us at the last minute and asking us to consider something.
sure.
I would not be against changing the deadline
Okay.
on something like
Yeah,
this if we had to.
Right.
Versus somebody coming to us at the last minute and wanting to change it
Sure.
4 days after the deadline.
Sure.
Okay, so,
Okay.
I think, this one, we just gotta keep an eye on.
Yep.
Make a decision right before the deadline.
Yeah.
And that decision could be very generic of saying, let's keep the position open. And we will keep the deadline open to give you time to work with the different things you have to work with to figure out what we're doing and the other boards.
Okay.
Got it. Okay. So update in December and then go from there. All right. Derek's change in definition of exempt employee in section 2. Derek, I'm just gonna let you talk about this one.
Yeah, let me pull it up.
Okay.
Derek wants to be HR like everyone else.
It's okay. Don't worry,
Um,
I'm ready for you, Derek. I got the
okay.
chapter and verse.
Yeah, so specifically, the exempt employees are covered under the Fair Labor and Standards Act, but they are exempt from provisions of it. So that's
Yeah.
just kind of how I wanted to adjust that, to say that,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yep. Mhm.
yeah, so so they're not regulated by certain provisions thereof. So while the law applies to them, there are the broader regulation applies to them, but the specifics within do not fall under it there because of it. So that makes sense. I'm not wording that well.
Yeah, and I think the notes when I read this that I kind of made were, I'm wondering if we don't even highlight the Fair Labor Standards Act and just kind of put more of what an exempt employee's definition is in terms of they're salaried, they're not overtime, like that kind of stuff. Because I don't know, and they're
I
probably
mean,
printed out.
I'm perfectly happy with that approach as well.
Yeah. I'm assuming there's a non-exempt on the definitions somewhere. I just didn't print that.
Yep, non-exempt employee, an employee whose employment
there
is
it is.
regulated by provisions of the U.S. Fair Labor
Right,
Standards Act.
right. So
So
I can work on that to see.
come up with some language.
Yeah, that I just,
It's almost like you want to describe the exempt employee from
Right.
the standpoint of salary
right,
and hours worked, and then say, but other rights reserved in the U.S. Fair Labor Standard Act apply.
Yeah.
So this way that they don't, it satisfies what
Yeah.
Derek brought to light, and then obviously what we're trying to do to define that definition.
yeah. I do, that whole salary-based testing part of it, that is a big piece of it, so I would like to work that in there somehow.
Okay,
Okay,
so do
so
you
you
think-
have to work the exempt and the non-exempt at the same time. Because if you're
Yeah.
gonna change stuff to exempt, people are gonna be looking at, well, how do you, if you do an exempt, how do I do a non-exempt? So you know, you have to kind of flesh it out.
Yeah.
Um,
So, I mean, I think I talked to you guys about this before, right? So one of the reasons why all these testings and things like that go into place is because way back in the day, there were employers that just made everyone exempt so that they didn't have to pay overtime, right? And so that's why these tests came into play to say, you know, you have to meet these, and there's like 5 of them, I think. You know, your position has to fall into one of these exemptions to no longer get overtime. And so if your position doesn't meet that testing, you are hourly non-exempt. And so sitting from my chair, sometimes when I talk to my nephews and niece and they're like, oh yeah, I'm exempt. I'm like, are you? What should you be?
Right. That's always the question. Should you be?
Right, should you be?
You'll be okay by December? Okay, thank you. Derek's changes in section 12, other leave, his comments on page 15 of the document.
Yeah. So I did send that over to council,
Mhm.
and you know, we do have to follow it, which is something we talked about, but what their guidance is because we have to follow it, it doesn't need to be in the bylaw. However, where did they say it? Because we're required to follow it. But where are you, friend? they gave me actual policies. They gave me actual policies that we can either incorporate or refer to. And so, so here's the wording. The town must comply with all three. The third one I put in there was the Small Necessities Act. So the town must comply with all three. And for that reason, it need not be in the bylaw because it's required regardless. That said, there are certain triggers for providing notices. So you can include it. And she says she'd rather see it in a employee handbook so it can't be grieved. So anyway, so I do have wording, which I can send to you guys. So domestic violence leave, small necessities leave, and parental leave.
Okay, I'd like to look at that.
Yeah.
Derek, any comments?
No, I had no idea about what I just had to Google what the Small Necessities Act is. Who
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
even know?
I mean, it's funny, again, like these.
What is it,
What?
Derek? In a-
It basically allows leave for up to 24 hours that need not be paid if the employee is going out to deal with, for lack of a better term, small necessities, your children's school activity, parent-teacher conferences, your child's
okay.
medical appointment, or
Mhm.
care for an elderly relative.
Okay.
So is there a procedure? This small necessities leave is something that I just heard of. It. Now, I'm gonna hold off on the question because I don't even understand it. I'd rather wait and
Yeah.
see, because to me, if you need a day off because of something that's, acute, how do they, what's the procedure?
Right,
Well, don't they
so
have PTO?
that's what I was gonna say, right?
Yeah.
So the thing about it, right, is in Massachusetts, employers have to allow their employees to take this time off, right?
Hmm.
So if I went to my employer and said, my kid has a parent-teacher conference, I gotta leave at 3 o'clock. If I had an employer that was like, no, your shift is until 5, that's not allowed, right? Now, we don't have to pay them, but they can use their PTO, right? So to go to the parent-teacher conference, whatever, that's personal time, that's vacation time. To go to the doctor's appointments, even for the family members, that's sick time. Like, we use sick time for that.
Yeah,
Not every employer does that, but that is one of the good perks about what we've put into place. Not even every municipality does that. So that's one of the things we've put into place. So if you're sick, your child's sick, your family member's sick, or you have those doctor's appointments for any of those, you can use your sick time. So the procedure is the procedure, right? And technically, we can't really ask when someone wants to take time off. We can't ask them what it's for, right? And so if there was a situation of an employee grieved, or a department head came to me and said, so and so needs this time off, but it's just the other kid's thing, or it's to bring their parents or whatever, I would talk to them and be like, yeah, that's allowed, right? And if they don't want to get paid, that's fine, but that is allowed. It gets a little tricky sometimes with exempt employment, because technically as an exempt employee, you get paid even if you're not working the full, even if you're not working the full day.
Yeah.
But employers put into place, like, yeah, you can work half a day, but you have to put in PTO. So, whereas an hourly
Okay.
employee, I can take the time off and I don't have to pay myself.
So Kate has looked at all three of these?
Yeah, Kate gave me information on like what she recommends is the different policies, if we want to put them into the bylaw,
Okay,
or handle it some other way.
So you'll circulate?
I was gonna ask you again, could you
Yep.
send that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And then we'll review it. So basically what's gonna happen is when we go through this, we're gonna basically have this list minus 3 or 4 things that we're gonna knock off tonight.
Yep.
And we're gonna see what's our status in December.
Good.
Okay, and then we'll go from there. But this will be kind of the basic for the December meeting.
Okay,
First, before I do the next one, Derek, thank you, by the way, for going through all these.
Yeah.
Okay, when you're the first person on this board that has said that you read regulations all day long, and B, you like to do it. So I really want to thank you for doing that.
I'm on cloud 9 right now because we are not talking about like any child related issues right now. So I'm like, this is great. Like,
Great.
yes, let's
Well,
talk
I wanted
about
to thank you for
minutia.
doing it. All right, I really appreciate it. Number 11, Derek's change in section 14, the grievance procedure.
yeah,
I printed that out, actually.
let's take.
That's a big thing. Let me
Oh,
tell
so
you,
did we-
But yeah,
the history of the grievance procedure, that was drafted with
Yeah.
Kate Federoff with me.
Mhm.
Okay.
So most of the language, if not all of the language, is from council. So that's just something to be aware of when we go diving into grievance. If we're gonna be changing things, that just to understand that it was not something that I created or he
Oh,
created.
no, no.
It was definitely.
And
definitely a
Tina
project.
had put several versions.
Oh,
We
yeah.
went through this.
Yeah.
With over a couple of meetings.
yeah, it's only
More-
been in there for a few years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more,
Yeah.
most importantly, Derek, I don't have your notes up here, so could you just refresh my memory of, the concerns you had?
Yeah,
Yeah, so we said that the policy says the decision is final. And so what I was saying was I don't think is saying the decision is final within the town's internal processes and does not limit rights under state or federal law. So expanding it to include the fact that there is recourse beyond the
Sure.
town. And so that was
Mhm.
just kind of the only thing that I would say is I didn't want to give the impression that if a person runs out of avenues that they are completely stopped. I mean,
Which
that
is
being
what-
said, one would assume that they know that they can always go to the courts or whomever if they have a grievance beyond that.
Yeah, and I think, and I didn't print out the whole thing, but I think the grievance process in general purposely doesn't address things like discrimination or pay inequity, anything that could and should go to a different level beyond what's just an employer.
because that would be state.
At one point, it could be
At one
federal.
point.
But it's also, you shouldn't, it's kind of, in my world, you shouldn't be responsible for billing yourself. In other words, I understand what you just said.
Yeah,
Doesn't, to me, I don't necessarily think it needs to be through the bylaw to be said that
right.
that is up to the person to explore their other options if they're not happy with the grievance procedure.
Yeah.
My point being is by not saying it, I don't feel that the town's at risk.
No, I don't either. I think, like I said, I think the grievance procedure is specific to bylaw things, right?
Yeah.
And so, and I actually think it's mainly performance type of things, right? And so, if we were to play this out and someone were to give us a grievance that says, I think my reclassification should have gone through, and the reason why you didn't do it is because I'm fill in the blank.
Mhm.
That automatically puts it, in my opinion, out of grievance. It puts it into legal and what we need to do on that side. Because it can go through all these different levels, Board of Selectmen, all the other people, but at the end of the day, that's a charge. You know what I mean? Beyond what any union contract or bylaw can put into place.
And I think honestly, by adding the words within the town process to number 3 at the end, saying that the decision of the Board of Selectmen shall be final, binding, and not subject to any further appeal within the town process.
Right.
Done. And it doesn't deny them any rights in court, in state,
Right.
or going to a state agency. It doesn't deny any of that.
Yeah.
Right.
It just says that once the Board of Selectmen have made a decision, that decision is final and there's no more appeal process within the town
With it,
structure.
maybe explicitly stating that.
I think that's a
Sentence.
question for
Yeah.
Kate,
Oh, yeah.
and I think Tina, if you
Mhm.
could ask that, and there'll be an argument for both sides of, better left unsaid than said,
Yeah.
Right.
but that's really for her call than us. And I'd like to get a recommendation of what they think, but my suggestion would be just adding those words at the end of number 3, or some semblance of it would take care of as far as the town. And I don't want to hurt anybody as far as stopping them from, if they're
Yeah,
aggrieved, let them go.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, you have every right, just like I would.
Right.
But at the same time, I also want to protect the town from the standpoint of, I don't need to list because I don't know them all.
Right,
And Neither do you, and neither do you.
And even if you, and when you start running a list and you don't put somebody in the list, then that's an opportunity.
You left somebody out,
for-
right? You didn't tell me about it.
Yeah, you didn't tell me
Right.
you were not transparent, blah, blah.
So I think your point is good, Derek. I just think we need to somehow get council involved in
Oh,
terms
for
of
sure.
that last. And I think number 3 is where the juxta of the problem is.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm gonna recognize Kim Emberg from the select board.
Oh,
Right, hi, I was just pulling up the union contracts while
Oh,
you guys were
okay.
talking about this.
Mhm.
So part of the reason I think the town council spoke to having the language that way is because in the fire and police contracts, there's specific language that goes to arbitration after the Board of Selectmen.
Mhm.
And there's an arbitration procedure that then states the arbitrator's findings will be final.
Right.
So I think
Mhm.
they were trying to mirror that this is your last step within this contract.
Yeah, there's
And
no
wage and personnel, the last step is the selectmen, because there is no arbitration available to them in that environment.
Sure.
So trying to give that context.
Okay.
And I think that, every
Thank
employee
you.
has the opportunity to apply through the statutes for civil service. Not in the civil service step like the police and the fire, but you have, discrimination, agencies, you have opportunities to go beyond the town.
Mhm.
So maybe that sentence saying, okay, you're done with the town, but then you're free to, flesh it out somewhere else through state agency.
Mhm.
Without listing all the state agencies or, because you can't, I don't know if they will remember them all or list them all.
Well, no,
Yeah.
that's why I think it would be better to say
Something
the-
simple.
not subject to further appeal through the procedures and bylaws of the town, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
And I just like her opinion. A,
Yeah.
leave it
Oh,
alone.
hell yeah.
A, leave it alone. B, add that.
Yep.
C, added except arbitration that's in the union contracts. Whatever she comes back with.
Yeah.
But if you could, Tina, that's, and Derek, I think it addresses the point you're trying to bring
Yeah.
up. And
Yeah.
I think it's
Makes sense.
above my pay grade. And I think I'd rather have the attorney look at it from that standpoint.
Well, generally, any type of bylaw change would go through council.
I understand that,
So
but
that's
we're
all-
asking a specific on this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all 3 of these would have to go to.
That's all right.
Beep, beep, beeping. Beep, beep, beep. Hey, I got the Godfather, so that's fun. All right,
All
thank
right.
you. Thank you,
Okay,
thank you,
Derek,
thank you.
any
Thank you,
more
Derek.
questions? Anything on your side?
There was one other item I had in there, and I hope I'm looking at the right version. It had to deal with FMLA eligibility.
Mhm.
And we had it listed as 1,200 hours, and
Oh, yeah, there was a
I
thing,
think
yeah.
the federal regulation is 1,250 hours. So I
Yes.
didn't know. So that was that was the last one, but
It looked like it might be a typo, Derek.
yeah, I
but
figured it was a
don't-
typo because
didn't
it's
make
12
sense.
months, 1,250 hours. So one
Yeah.
would assume it would be the same, but it's not. It's because
Yeah, there is a.
Derek, what section is that?
In section 12C.
It's 12C, okay.
12C
Can we
page.
make,
Yeah.
yep, can we make that change, please? Section 12. See, other leave, military leave?
Uh,
It's
Family
on
medical
page
leave.
15.
Eligible
it's
employees.
E.
Yeah.
Okay, this,
Family
oh,
medical.
no, okay,
12
there's a
hours.
military C, then there's a civic duty E, then there's a family medical, it's family medical E.
Oh, you're right, my
Yeah.
eyes.
So, okay, I'm sitting there going, are there 2 Cs?
There are in my eyes.
Yeah, I had to look at it twice, I
I keep
agree.
taking my glasses on and off. It's like, is that an E or a C? And it is an E.
And
yeah, that
we're
was the
sure
1200.
1250 is the.
Yeah.
Okay, so we should make that change.
Should be
All right.
1250. Sometimes you find typos at the strangest
So
places.
1,200 to 1,250.
Correct. Anything else, Derek?
That's it for me.
All right, thank you again.
This is what happens when you're trying to be a parent and waiting, you start opportunities, so, I think I'll do this.
I will also send that family medical leave stuff to legal because there's a military part
Yeah.
Mhm.
that is different than the military leave that's up there.
Okay.
This has been a change.
It was a change from years ago that if you
Okay.
had to care for a military person, or if your spouse was called to duty and you needed to be home, kind of a
Okay.
thing.
Okay,
So
that would be good. That would be
Yeah.
really good.
So C, you'll come back with,
E,
E.
it would be under, it's under family
oh,
medical.
family, I'm,
Yeah,
like-
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, sorry. Rick.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I
I
hear,
get
I
it.
get this one.
All right, so
Okay.
you're gonna check me.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
E.
okay.
Okay, excuse me.
I just make it.
No, cost of living.
Yeah, is there anything that your directions, any ideas?
Not that I have.
Okay, I'm not asking Kim.
Yeah. And,
So that's to be determined.
yeah, I mean, as you know, part of how you guys determine cost of living ties to what the unions end up doing. We're just going into negotiations with
Yeah.
them, so. However that gets decided, I don't know yet.
Are you talking, Derek?
Derek, you're mute. No, okay, all right,
I saw the mouth and I'm like, is he talking?
right, okay.
Okay,
All right, so to be determined on the cost of living, change name of Schedule D to exempt annual
Mm.
salaries and add new hourly rate schedule, Schedule E for non-exempt wage and personnel employee. I'm just gonna start with, I looked at that.
did a lot of work, Jennifer. Thank you.
Yes, you did. Thank you,
Thank you
Jennifer.
very much.
I looked at it and I still had a problem with it. And I actually sent a note to Jennifer. I understand the explanations.
Yeah.
Okay, I just don't like the fact that we have a piece of paper that says this, and we have this, which is about 13.7% less than this. If it's for the job.
For an hourly person.
For an hourly,
yeah, for an hourly.
for an hourly person. So, and what's also interesting is elsewhere in the bylaws under compensation, it lists what departments have to work 40 hours and
Right.
what departments have to work 35.
Mhm.
Okay, but nowhere does it say that there should be a 40-hour statute applied to everybody. So the problem I have, and I understand why on the union side, and that's a different world, and I get it. But we go to all this trouble to list specific jobs with specific hours,
Mhm.
yet now we're not going to pay them the specific salary that we said we would pay them.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to, I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure what we're really trying to do. I don't see it as a test of a fairness doctrine. I see it as it may be right, and maybe we need some direction to get it correct. I'd be interested to hear what you have to say. I'd be interested to hear about. But my issue is that I don't want to make Schedule D hourly as a printed schedule because it uses the formula of 40 hours.
Across
And there
the
are
board,
across
right?
the board, and
And
there are
that's
some
wrong.
jobs that are 35 hours. So that are supposed to get the salary that we did in Schedule D. Now it says up top, exempt annual salaries.
Mhm.
I don't believe it says that in the current bylaw.
No, it's a salaried schedule.
So it's salary
Yeah.
schedule, and then the bylaw refers to salary schedule to be adjusted to hourly based if they're less than full-time hours worked. So I'd be curious to hear what people's opinions are. Tina, I'll let you know if you want to. Derek, do you understand what we're talking about?
Yeah, I understand, but I don't know if I have enough information to go with the opinion on that yet. So I'd
Okay,
love to
but
hear the discussion.
new.
Yeah.
okay.
New discussion.
But it's just discussion. That's all it is. There's nothing going to be, I don't think this one gets decided tonight. I think we need some more information. And I think, because I'm concerned too about, what if we have a 35-hour employee, okay, who's works in, the COA, and we're paying them based on a 40-hour week, but they're, grade 3, step 2. And they come back and say, well, for the last year, you're supposed to pay me a salary that's equal to $51,351. But, and the hourly wage for that should be X. but
So,
you're paying me why?
so I'm not 100% sure if I'm gonna answer your question, but,
I don't think there's a good answer. I think we have. to
yeah,
flesh it.
I just wanna kind of wrap my head around or maybe help other people wrap their head around certain things, right? So if I'm in an exempt position, and I'm getting paid on Schedule D,
Mhm.
regardless of the number of hours I work, I'm getting Schedule D pay. Because it's an annual salary. So there are positions that are non-exempt, they're hourly. And I'm wondering if there's a way to, at least for wage and personnel, to say, you know, positions in XYZ grades are hourly, and this is what that rate is. Because looking at it, so the wage and personnel,
Hmm.
grade 6 and above, and I'm just looking at it now. Grade 6 and above, if your position is in grade 6 or above, you are exempt. So you're making an annual salary, you could work 35 hours, you could work 105 hours, you could work 20 hours, we're paying you an annual salary.
How about the public health nurse though?
So the public health nurse is in grade 6. So that is one of those things, but like we talked about, are we going to re-examine that to make that back to be, you're not gonna be in the grading system, because the reason why that position was included in the comp study to begin with was because we thought, or whoever was in charge at the time, thought it was gonna end up being a full-time position, in which case it needed to live in the grade. And it would have been an exempt position if it lives in a full-time grade, because that position would qualify to be exempt. But, so we can still talk about the public health nurse if we just want to move that back into being an hourly position on a different schedule altogether. Again, I'm just looking at some of these jobs, right? So if I'm looking at grade 5 and I'm looking at the comp study, as well as any reclassifications that have happened since then, not just here with KTU as well. So in grade 5,
Would it be easy, and this is really a stretch, if you have Schedule D, for example, for exempt annual salaries at 40 hours, and then have another schedule at 35 hours. So it's very explicit as to what.
see, this is my concern though, when it
Yeah.
comes to exempt, we're not paying them by the hour.
I know,
You
that's
know?
why, that's, to me, I'm like,
Right.
what are we doing this for?
Well,
No.
so, right, so the idea is we are trying to take a salaried equivalent and break it into an hourly
Right.
job.
Right.
Right, so for the, I wouldn't want to break out and say, you're an exempt employee working 40 hours a week, and this is how much you make, you're an exempt employee working 35 hours a week, and this is how much you make, because
Mhm.
hours should not be part of any of those equations, right?
Not on
Yeah,
the salaried.
Right, I
Right,
don't
that's
think
what I
the
meant, right.
exempt is an issue. I think the problem is that if you go to section 7I, hours of the week, it's right there in the bylaw.
Yeah.
And, you know, administrative, 35 hours. Clerical, 35 hours. Custodial, 40 hours. Library, 35 hours. Recreational, 40 hours. Supervisory, 35 hours. So the problem, you have to change one or the other.
Right, and maybe that's the one to change, because
Okay,
even,
so that-
even
yeah,
with that, like listening to some of those things, I'm like, see, that thing, though, it is an exempt thing, because nowhere should we be saying exempt equals hours. I think it's fine to say, as an exempt department head in a particular department, you're going to be working at least 35 hours a week, right? Because those are the scheduled hours of that department. That's different than saying you're getting paid for 35 hours a week.
No, because they'd be paid for 40,
Only certain ones,
only certain.
Right.
ones.
I mean, you know, there's administrative departments that are 40-hour departments. You know,
You see my issue in
Mhm.
terms of someone saying to me, step 1, grade 3, 49,877. Okay, and when I add up my hourly wage that you're paying me
Great.
to work 35 hours, I am making
Well, that's-
roughly $42,000.
That has been my concern with why this is, why this is the, whatever this is, the Schedule D didn't decipher out the positions that should have been hourly, even when we
Well,
first made this, that was
yeah.
my concern.
The other issue is that maybe I wouldn't have a problem with the hourly chart if this section I was not in this bylaw. Talking about the different positions working different hours.
Sure, and that might not even be accurate anymore.
It
You
hasn't
know,
been looked at, like there's no one in custodial,
Okay,
and we have a recreation.
I mean, we
Yeah.
have the department head in custodial,
uh,
the finance, the
facilities,
facilities manager.
yeah, facilities.
Yeah.
That is-
So then you would change
What
it
is
from
custodial?
custodial to facilities.
Oh, you mean the position?
Yeah, the position,
Ah, yes, because the position is under
administrative.
administrative.
right, he's administrative.
Right.
And where's highway?
There's only the one position,
Supervisory,
right?
right, okay, the rest is union. CLA,
There's a few there.
right,
that are-
where are
I
they?
think-
Clerical,
Probably
administrative,
administrative.
supervisory? Because
Yeah.
those are the ones that all fall into 35 hours,
Right,
okay?
and they're all exempt.
The,
But supervisory has 35 hours.
correct,
Is
but
there
the
a-
highway guy works 40.
And what, does water and wastewater too,
Yep.
40, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one has looked at this for a long time.
Oh, I understand that, but I don't think you can do this without looking at that.
So that's fine.
Right.
Okay,
And the other thing is, if you have that, you have no need to break it into hourly and then opening up a can of worms.
no,
because-
I think this needs to be redefined
Correct.
based on the current situation.
If you do that, then is it really necessary to break it down to an?
No,
hourly rate?
then I would add there's nothing in compensation that says anything about how hourly wages are broken down.
Yeah,
I would carefully construct an hourly, a comment that says, based on the classification of the job in the group that it belongs in.
Yeah.
Hourly wages will be based on hours worked.
Yeah, well, that's what we talked about, right?
Right, but
There's nothing that says that, but my
No.
question is, and I don't have it in front of me, I'm sorry, but actually I do, but, the thing you just talked about in terms of the classifications and, this classification equals this, how many hours? Was there, and I'm looking at Jennifer, because she probably knows, was there a reason that was put into place to ever begin with?
It's been in there forever.
Yeah.
Because at one point, we had everyone in wage and personnel, and then the union.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
oh, okay,
Okay.
so this isn't the way.
There
that-
were, there was
weren't a
no
union.
KTE. year.
Gotcha. So,
Ah,
so maybe the
okay.
question really is that needed at all, right? To start defining what positions work how many hours, because those are in job descriptions, right? I don't think there's a bylaw that needs to have that. Even
No,
though
because the hours are in the job description.
well, so, right, so when I post a job,
Yeah.
or even just the job description, it will say, well, I don't put the, I don't.
Yeah, so you don't.
So
put-
for the exempt people, I don't put the hours. I do put, this is a 35-hour commitment, work
Right,
week, whatever,
Right,
but it's an exempt position. And then when we talk to people, we say,
Yeah.
and I say it in the interviews, I'm like, but as you know, it's an exempt position, you work until the work gets done,
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but how about hiring hourly people? They told,
so most hourly people are in KTU, and so they have to be told how many hours, right?
Yeah.
And then the handful of people that we have, a handful of positions that we have in wage and personnel that are hourly, I do put how many hours a week that is and what the hourly span of the grade is.
or should there be something simple like 1,820 hours is considered a full year of employment?
Yeah, I'm not
Any-
opposed to that. Here's my question with it, and this is a finance question. When they sit down and finance people sit down and do the budget, like sometimes it's 1826, sometimes it's 18, they do it by day for how many days there are in a particular year. That would be working days, because when I write a letter Well, this is the thing, right? So when I write an exempt letter, I'm just putting their salary. I don't care how many hours you work.
Mhm.
When I'm putting, I'm hiring you as an hourly employee, I'm just putting, $20 an hour or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I don't,
But I just want to know how we get there. How we get to $20 an hour. If that job is in a grade and
Yep.
and a step 2 or step 3.
Yep.
Then whatever that says, better equal that hourly wage. Based on the job you require,
right.
okay?
And so like I said, with KTVU, they don't have a salary
Mhm.
grid, obviously. So that grid is always hourly, and it was based off of the salaried equivalent by the 40 hours a week.
And I don't have a problem with you
Right.
saying that our hourly wages are based on a 40-hour week
just-
because of overtime. Okay, you're gonna get overtime after 40 hours, but up to 40 hours,
Yeah, this is
your
normal
wage
rate.
will be X.
Yeah.
Okay, but I think we need to do something with section I.
Yeah.
And somehow incorporate the hourly wage in. I don't know if I'm comfortable with a schedule as much as I'm comfortable with
Changing. word.
language
Yeah.
that says a percentage of the salary and hours.
Section I. or-
Section I, no, it's
Different.
I, 7I,
Seven.
7I.
Yeah,
Page
section
11.
7.
Yep.
yeah.
So I really think that honestly, I understand what you're trying to do. I thought long and hard after our last meeting. And I just see problems that, I'm not a lawyer, but I mean, I know I could call one and figure out, why am I getting 13.7% less?
Well, right. And so, like I said, that was even before the comp study, because we have positions that are hourly, that were in the grades, that were always listed as salaried positions, whether it was 35, 40 hours,
Yeah.
whatever it is. And that's been my concern for a long time.
And again, I don't want to take anything away from anybody, so I'm trying to figure out how do we change this language of classification that hasn't been looked at in years to come up to 2025.
Mhm.
And what we're trying to do, but
If it has to, right, yeah, I mean, I'll have to look at that. I mean, again, like if we. I mean, I don't know if it needs to, we don't have to decide tonight, but I don't know if it needs to have that in there anymore, right? I think the important pieces of any position are, what is my title?
Yep.
Am I exempt or not exempt? Because if I were to look at, animal control officer, and that tells me administrative, this group, that doesn't exist outside of Kingston, right? And so
It's arbitrary.
I don't know the reasoning for it. Other than, well, even in the only other place it's referred to, and I'm asking Jennifer, the only other place it's referred to is in that section 7, or is it elsewhere?
It's in Schedule A.
It's in Schedule A.
right,
Right, and so it's in Schedule A, but is it only referred to in section 7?
I think so.
Yeah.
Right,
But for example, we have public safety as a group in Schedule A, and
and it's not listed in here as.
yeah, see?
Yeah.
Right, so yeah, so I think, right, I think we just have to look at
Is
that
it-
stuff,
Yeah,
right?
so I think just some more work on this.
Yeah.
So,
I'm almost wondering if it makes sense to, instead of having group, we list what schedule they are paid under, right? So if I
what we
look
used to
at,
have. Next to each listing, didn't we used to have the schedule that goes along?
well, we have
There's a
the
schedule there.
rate, right there, but I'm
Schedule
wondering if
C1,
it just needs to
11.
be more specific, you know what I mean? Like, like if it was like animal inspector, that's a stipend position, so maybe it's the group is stipend, do you know what I mean? Instead of something else.
Pull it
or-
out of there and put it under a stipend group.
Because it's in a stipend
Right.
group, right?
Yeah.
Right,
Then you
and
know
so,
exactly where to go.
right, like assistant. Yeah, well, that's not a good example. Assistant to the police chief, that's a non-exempt position, like that's maybe how it gets listed.
Mhm.
Do you know what I'm
It's
saying?
non-exempt.
Yeah, because it's hourly.
I have a question now. If you're looking under I, hours of work, talks about the group and the work week, there's an asterisk that says exempt employees shall normally work a full-time schedule of 35 hours.
What's the asterisk tied to, though?
Or the number of hours in the week.
Administrative or supervisory.
Right.
I mean.
Oh, wait, is that section 7?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm here.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm looking at this and it
Right.
says normally 35 hours or the number of hours in the week which are needed to perform the duties of the position. I understand what they're trying to say, but does that mean,
Yeah, it makes
does
that,
other people make it?
I'm
make
telling you,
sense to them?
it makes sense as one thing, make us
Do they understand?
liable is another, because I, not just here, it is a big pet peeve or reality of mine, when you start saying hours
Yeah,
or exempt, they can start saying, well, then you pay me by the hour all the time, including the overtime.
because an
Right,
exempt
and-
employee is not held with 35 hours.
They're not held to any hours.
They're not held. And
Right.
now here it is, it's saying exempt.
Right,
Employees shall normally.
That has been my concern,
And
right?
then is.
Which goes back to a position becomes exempt because of the nature of the work, the
Yeah.
responsibility, the decision-making, yada, yada, the supervisory, whatever it is.
So we really.
So all positions could be hourly, TA to, janitor.
Okay.
But only certain ones can be exempt. And so when we start treating exempt employees by listing hours, or this is what you're expected to work, or blah, 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 that is a concern for me.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with it at all.
And it always has been, not just here.
So I think the way I'd like to sum it up is I'd like, for you to look at 7I.
Yep.
And come back with a recommendation.
Mhm.
If possible, test with council
Mhm.
before, just,
Mhm.
and not one recommendation. I'd be happy to look at 3.
Sure.
Okay, but I think you need 10 minutes
Yeah.
by yourself.
Oh, what's that like?
Yeah. Reading this.
Go home.
What's that like?
You know what I'm saying, though, so that you're not bombarded with all this
Right.
input from other people.
Yeah.
And then I think Derek, you and Lorraine and I should also be prepared to discuss at the next meeting how we want to tackle this.
Yeah.
Okay, and do some research. I mean, I'm gonna do some research to see, what was the intention from GovHR, for argument's sake.
Mhm.
I mean, they did this. Let's see what the intention was.
See what
I'd
they
like to
say.
hear it.
Yeah,
You want to know how the trucks run and ask the driver.
Yeah.
Okay, so they built it. I'd like to know. So, and I'd also, your years of experience and come back with it, but I think we have a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, and I
Yeah.
think that's
I
where
think
it is.
There's a lot of mismatch.
Yeah, and that's where it is. All right, and if we could come up with an hourly wage package that
Mhm.
that was iron-proof, and it may be something as simple as, all hourly jobs are computed at 40 hours per week, and it's in the bylaw.
Right.
Okay, then the schedule has to match it. So that if
Yeah.
they say, boom, that's what it is. If a clerical person works more than 35 hours a week, which is our schedule, do they get overtime?
They
Not
have to
until
work over
40.
40, because that's.
I understand the
FLSA
question,
thing,
but
yeah. And
We
the
only
union-
tell them
and
to
the
be
union,
here
they
35 hours.
Right,
So
but they'll get paid. They'll
they'll get
yeah.
paid. I'm
Yeah.
not arguing that,
Yeah.
but they'll be here longer than they're supposed to be.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is the one that bothers me the most. All right, so Derek, anything from your side?
No, but I agree. I agree with you on that. I think it opens a can of worms as is.
Yeah, I think it's an old section of the bylaw that hasn't been looked at in a while, and it just needs fresh eyes. And be brought up to current status.
I mean, if it's as old as you're saying it is, it was probably even put in place before any of the true exempt testing and all that other stuff got put into place.
No, very well could be.
unless you sit there and listed it by individual in Schedule A, unless you listed it specifically 35 hours, 40 hours.
Even that, I'm nervous to do, because again, like if I'm, so by that, okay,
Yeah, no, just a
the
thought.
HR director, 35 hours, see ya.
You're not exempt.
I'm exempt, so
Sure,
that's my
exempt.
point, right? So
Yeah.
don't put
Okay.
that in there. Right.
Yeah, there's nothing in there. I mean, exempt is you.
Work until the work gets
You
done,
have no
right.
threshold.
Right, the way I explain it to people,
Yeah.
is an exempt position, you're being paid for your body of knowledge, for your decision making, you know, buck stops with you, certain things, blah, blah, blah. You know, I think on the hourly side, right, the way the feds have put that in there is very vanilla in terms of like, you're not getting paid for how many widgets you put in, you're getting paid for how long it takes you to put those widgets together, right? But now you have to put that into, you know, clerical things or, you know, non-factory worker stuff, which was a lot of what these laws were based on many, many moons ago. So yeah, so again, I just want to make sure that I don't ever want to have anything that could jeopardize a position's exemption, because that will be costly. That will be costly.
Oh, yeah, no, I think the good point of this discussion is we recognize some, but not all the pitfalls.
Yeah.
And that, but we recognize that this needs to be cleaned.
Yeah.
So, again, I'll just reiterate that I'd like to come to December's meeting with some ideas. And then we'll create another course of action and I understand that, you know, we may run up against the deadline, but this isn't one that I had.
Right, this is stuff you guys are putting together.
It's yours.
Right.
If we have, so,
We have the opportunity to do it by ourselves.
right.
Jennifer, do you have the Word document of the bylaw you can send me? So if want
I have it
to
right
look at
here. Well, I have the one that Derek sent me.
Right, but was it the whole one?
Yeah,
It was the whole text.
Oh,
file that
okay.
Eric has.
Okay,
Yeah.
then I'll just work off of that.
yeah, and he just has his
But I
comments.
can send you a clean one without.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, mine's clean here because I can't see Derek's comments when I upload it. Sorry, Derek.
Mine because I print them out.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
Do you want me to send you? I'll send it to you.
okay. Any more discussion from anybody? Derek?
No, I'm all set. Thank you
Okay,
very
good.
much.
I thought it was a good discussion. Thank
It was a
you.
good one.
Anything, Kim, you want to add? No? Okay.
Uh,
The next one is move the position of the public health nurse from Schedule D to C1 or change the grade from 6 to 7. Something that we mentioned before, at the last meeting. Did we hire the health nurse?
We're trying to.
What, didn't you have a candidate?
We do. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you just don't know whether it's been accepted yet or not?
We are just working on it still.
Okay, all right, just curious, you know,
Yeah.
maybe that's a little premature.
Well, I don't think it ties to the candidate. So I think if.
I'm not saying to the candidate,
Yeah.
but to the job from the standpoint that,
I still think this job, I know this job was put as part of the comp study because it was expected for it to go full time. That is not going to be the case anytime
Okay.
soon. And I think it needs to move back to a hourly schedule.
I'm not against
Yeah.
it. I'm not against it at all. I mean, it can be a separate schedule as far as I'm
Well,
concerned.
it used to be a,
Yeah.
Schedule C1.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't care if we call it Schedule F, doesn't matter, it's, you know, that's fine. It's just that we've seen the position 4 times in
Yeah.
a year.
right?
Okay, it's 4 times you have to do the work, it's 4 times we have to do the work, it's 4 times they have to do.
Right, agreed.
You know, all the work that I've looked at, we're paying them too little
So,
based on what I saw.
so what I will do is I will go back to the health agent and say, get me some comps on hourly wages,
Yep.
hourly rates. But I think this group should be okay with take it out of the grades, put it back into whatever schedule is hourly.
Schedule C1.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility, and maybe you have it, but I don't know if it's been updated, a current job description of the public health nurse?
Well, yeah, it's the posted.
The one that you posted, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
all right, I'd like to, can you send it to me?
Yep.
Just so I can just glance at it before our next meeting, because depending on what we do there, I'd like to just
So,
measure it around my
I'm
head.
happy to send it to you again, but when I send you the stuff about this lab,
I can-
it should be in
I
there,
can-
but I'll look at
I'll find
it.
it.
I'm sending other stuff.
Oh, it was in
Throw it
It was an
Yeah.
easy, I'll find it, it's not a problem. I was just speaking out loud.
No, no,
So-
all good.
And so I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Because I was not here on the 20th, and I started going through the minutes, the video, but I had to interrupt. The board is asked to discuss reoccurring problems with the public health nurse. Is that something you want to do before or after, or is that something you're looking to do this year?
Well, the reoccurring problems is the fact that the health nurse has come before us 4 times.
4 times.
So it wasn't a problem with the health nurse.
Okay.
Or a problem with the position.
I didn't know if there was a specific reason,
No,
Okay.
what I'm,
other than the 4 times.
yeah, what I'm looking at is as much information as we can get to make the right decision to cut down the number of times we have to look for the health,
Yeah.
for health.
Yeah, no, understood.
That's
Thank
all.
you. That's
So-
all I was looking for. Was there something else?
Okay. Derek, you good with everything?
Yeah, I'm good with everything.
Thank you. All right, number 15, add new position of assistant library director.
So I'm scheduled to meet with the library director and the same for the assistant town accountant. Again, these positions I think right now are gonna be placeholders, but typically these positions that department heads want would go to a town administrator before they come to you guys. I don't have that right now. So how do we want to do that? I'm happy to meet with these guys. I don't know what they put in their budgets to know if like, oh, this is my next year's ask over my long-term 5-year thing. So
Did they go to Board of Selectmen before they come to you?
it doesn't matter to me.
I'm just saying, it should be the appointing authority. The way I look at it. You know, so if the town administrator isn't here, or
Right.
God forbid, the town administrator wins the lottery, borrowing for what you would say, then I would say, then the next man up is BOS.
So. Okay.
I'd like it to be vetted to
Mhm.
see if it's needed before we have to look at it.
But.
And not just by somebody sitting here with a budget that says, I need this.
No, it's right. So, but, to the example I give all the time, I have an HR assistant that's never been funded, but it's almost ready to go. It would have been ready to go if we didn't do the comp study. But so that's the other question.
Yeah.
Are we putting, is it, because we don't have a TA, are we putting it, is it the question to you guys, put it in the bylaw as a placeholder, which may not happen for FY 27? Or is it, you guys don't even want to look at it as a placeholder? And until these 2 department heads get the okay by the board?
I don't want to look at it until it's been vetted.
And yeah, I mean, putting it
First
in as a
vetting is it
placeholder is
needed?
terrible.
That's the first
Okay.
vetting. Is it needed? And
Okay.
why is it needed? Okay, and that's not my purview.
No,
Okay, that's the person who's gonna approve the budget for the library and the budget for the town accountant.
So, okay, so, yep, I'm fine with that. I will,
Derek, do you agree?
Yes.
I didn't mean to ask it that way, expecting an answer. Tell me what you think.
No, I do, and I think I keep going back to the fact that there's been the position of that, and I'm relatively new here, but the fact that the position has gone in front of the board multiple times to me is always just kind of like a headache.
which position?
Well, that's the nurse, but I'm
Oh, we
talking
didn't
about
talk
adding,
about that.
I'm talking about adding these 2 new positions at the bottom of the list.
Oh, sorry, I thought we were still on.
No, sorry about that. No,
Sorry.
what they want to do is they want to add an assistant library director and an assistant town accountant. And what I'm saying is, I don't want that to come before us until there's been, usually it goes to the town administrator, and the town administrator has a hash out over the budget, hash out with the department, head, do you really need it? If I'm gonna fight for you for this, tell me what the points are. I mean, that's the discussion they have. I don't want them to come to us until they've had that discussion with somebody. Now, we have an interim town
Right, and
administrator,
so yeah.
and I'm saying go to the select board.
Yes, I would go with that. Is Kim still there? Is she nodding?
She's
Yeah.
sitting there, yeah, and she's sitting there going, add it to her list.
she's writing it down. I don't know if
Did you have a question for me specifically, or was it just one?
Derek, did you have a question for Kim? She's right here.
No, I just wanted to. I was just trying to make a very bad joke. I'm around to infants all day long. He laughs at anything I do. So
having a dad joke.
The bad jokes.
Yeah,
Okay.
we having dad jokes. We're starting on those.
starting
So,
on. I'm starting on it. But yes, I mean, I would almost go one step further and say I'd almost like to see it in front of the administrator, just because they're the person who's going to have the day-to-day.
Just wait then. So
Yeah.
it won't hit
Because
fiscal 27
I
then.
think it's a bad thing to start putting placeholders into jobs that we haven't even looked at.
Oh, no, you would look at it.
But what I'm
Right.
saying is, I don't want to look at it
I wanted
until-
to have, it when it's all done, I want the JAQ. I
No,
want the
no, I
JAQ.
understand that. We would get that, but what I'm saying is, without a town administrator, okay,
Mhm.
where would you go to flesh out the idea to create the JAQ?
BOS.
Select board.
Yep.
If it's not gonna go to the select board because it doesn't fit their purview, whatever, and you're gonna wait for a town administrator, then it stays off this agenda
Yeah, keep
until
us on.
27.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, and I'm fine with that, and I'll,
Okay.
and that frees up some of my calendar, but, but,
Sure.
um,
No place.
so so in the past, when we've had Keith, right, this is how this plays out. The board or department head either comes to me or Keith, I'd like to add this to my budget. If they come to me and me first, I say, this is how we get it. This is all the pieces we need. Here's the process. Wage and personnel will not do anything unless the TA is on board with it. And then we go to the TA and he says yes or no. So I can understand your logic and I can move that with these guys to say, there's no TA in place. There will be no new position added to wage and personnel at all for fiscal 27.
And again, I also want to put a little caveat to
Yeah.
that if the department head wants to, feels that strongly about it.
Yeah.
Let them go to the select board and
Right,
let the
right.
select board come to us and say, would you please look at filling this position because we have a need?
Okay.
Okay? I don't have a problem with that. Do you guys have a problem with that, Derek?
No, I think that's a very
Lorraine?
important caveat
No.
with that.
Okay,
No,
Although I
because
would
it
like
fits
to
in with
see-
our mission.
right,
It fits in with the requirements of the committee.
right. But I just think it has to go somewhere else before it comes to us.
I completely
all.
understand that.
Okay.
So my question is this, for them to go to the board, they have to get on an agenda. And we will list this deadline.
Then come to us at the December meeting and give us an update.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
And then we'll make a decision. How's that? You all right with that, Derek?
Yeah, I think you put it well that it needs to go to someone before us, even if it's not the
Okay.
TA in this.
so what I will tell these two department heads
Yep.
is, if you want this in fiscal 27. You need to get on the Board of Selectmen agenda.
Mhm.
And basically ask for it and see what your take is on it, the Board of Selectmen's take on it. If they agree, I will work them through the process of all that other crap. And then, and if I say to them, you know, this was just if they say to me, this was just a placeholder, I want it in 29, then I say, stand down, talk to you a couple of years. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Question, right, I just forgot. Never mind.
That's all right. I'm gonna summarize.
That-
Well,
no, I just
this
had a
list.
question about this.
Okay,
Now.
You'll get there.
all right.
Yep.
Well,
I-
you'll
3:00
get
in
it.
the morning, I'll.
No, you should probably get it by the time you get it. So, 1, 2, and 3, basically 3 we're eliminating.
Well, do you wanna? I thought we were gonna wait for.
Tina's gonna update on
in
3.
December.
Yeah,
For what?
No, you're all set for the.
Right, it was.
No, I'm not doing it today. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, I'm trying to narrow this list down and say 1, 2, and 3 for the most part are taken care of. And
Meaning we're not doing any work on.
correct. And that, and we'll make a decision in December, from the standpoint of, if something new comes to the table.
Mhm.
Otherwise, our plan is to delete the position of administrative assistant veterans, delete the position of program coordinator COA, and we're not doing anything as
Right.
far as reclassing the vets agent as of now,
right now.
heading to the December meeting. In December, we're going to get an update on number 4, adding the performance review, get an update on number 5, an update on number 6, an update on number 7. The weights and measures position,
Mhm.
we're probably gonna, my guess is push it off past the deadline
Mhm.
because of the retirement that's
Mhm.
pending and deal with it after December. But we'll put a placeholder on our agenda for it,
Number 8.
number 8, okay? Update number 9 in December, update 10 in December. 11, on the family leave
Mhm.
portion and the grievance procedure, that needs to be fleshed out. And again, hopefully presented in December. Cost of living to be determined
Mhm.
based on what happens after the unions. So it'll just be a topic of discussion.
Yeah.
We'll get an update. The number 13, that's gonna require some work.
Yeah,
And I think it's gonna require some work past December, but that's just, let's try to come up with something as a group, Derek, Jim, Lorraine, ideas that, I don't want to have a meeting outside of a meeting, but, you know, if you have a question, anybody has a question, give it to Jen and let Jen ask Tina. And then they'll come back to you, she'll come back to you with an answer. Rather than us having a meeting without having a meeting. I don't want to violate any of the sunshine laws. Okay? The public health nurse, again, I think we should come up with an hourly schedule. And again, I'm gonna leave that to you, Tina, after you go to Board of Health to get some recommendations and come back to us with December with a proposal. And then the last two update in December after you talk to department heads.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right?
So everything.
Everything except the first, for the most part, but honestly,
Well, you voted number 2, but you voted number 2. Number 2 is.
right,
Gonzo.
so we wiped out
But
one.
you can't, right, but until the administrative assistant veterans goes to KTEU, is that finalized yet?
It's not finalized, but it's
Right.
part of that whole thing, and there's no one in the position. So even if it goes away, there's no one.
Oh, so you feel comfortable if they vote leave?
But I think we can do it. in
We can do
December.
that later.
That's all I'm saying.
Alright.
Because you got some moving pieces.
Alright.
So that's all I'm saying. You know, what happens if the agreement with Duxbury falls into the toilet? Then all of a sudden, you know, there's another issue of problems, but we still have time before our deadline if we had to react.
Well, even
By
if,
leaving it,
But
it,
it still needs to go to KTEU.
right,
right,
It doesn't
doesn't belong.
Right. okay, but I think we can handle that as a housekeeping issue in December. All right,
So do you want me to leave it on the list?
leave it on the list.
Yes,
Leave it.
I don't want to forget.
Nope, leave it on the list, okay? Does anybody have any other questions regarding that? I'm sorry for the long soiree, but,
Nope, not even looking at the clock.
okay.
Nope.
We mentioned at the last meeting, the compensation study adjustments. I think that's honestly an ongoing discussion. I mean, I don't think it's, and quite frankly, I don't know if I want to do it without a TA,
Yeah, I would recommend that.
you know?
And
be
I
honest.
would recommend it this year.
And Derek, the point is that, you know, I made the comment that, you know, maybe, the compensation study, as you get further out from the time it's done, becomes less
Yeah.
viable. Remember that?
Right, exactly. How much is it still something that we can rely on, because every year we move further away from an accurate baseline. Yeah.
When they submitted the last comp study, 22, and it went to town meeting, I think it was in 23. There was a caveat at the time, and we had requested a 1% adjustment from the initial findings to the current or to the time town meeting,
Aged.
because it was aged.
Yeah.
The prior compensation study did the exact same thing, included a 1% increase because it had taken so long to
But
finish.
we didn't do it.
No, we didn't.
No,
Oh,
we
we
did.
did do it.
The
okay.
first, yeah, I'm talking,
Was it 2?
the 22, the 20, the
Yeah, was it
2022.
2%?
I don't remember, it was
Yeah, it
one,
was
I
three.
believe it was 1%
Okay.
that
It was
they
3%.
adjusted for the year between when they
Because
started
data
it,
was old.
for the data was old. So it made sense to me, if we did that in the last one, and we did that to the prior one, then why would we be doing the same thing? Instead of, you know, shoveling against the tide, because it's old. That information is now old.
Right, so when you do compensation studies, right?
Mhm.
So, you know, let's say I was hired to do a compensation study today, right? I would take the remainder of 2025 and I would gather my information, and the people giving me the information, the companies giving me the information are giving me their 2024 data,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And so by the time I say, okay, client, here's what you look like, and here's what you should look like, and here's what your competitors look like back in 2024, then the client says, we agree, but we're gonna age it because it's already old. And then the client decides how much we're gonna age it.
I mean, I thought it was where it was systemic, it would,
You're always looking at old data.
You're always
Yeah.
looking, so why wouldn't the same thing apply to the comp study? Now,
What do you mean?
now,
Right, so what, another thing that you can do, right, is so some,
Ooh,
I'm
speaking.
just gonna use us because that's what we're
Yeah.
doing, right? So the data comes in from a comp study, it's already old. The
Mhm.
client says, I'm gonna age it XYZ dollars, that we brought up to today's dollars, great. Then, because we do an annual COLA, the idea is you are moving with the tide.
Right.
Okay, so we should be current, unless all of a sudden, all of our other competitors were like, we're only doing 1% increases, and we've done 3 and 2.5, or whatever it was. Or they're saying we do 6%, and now we're behind. So
Yeah.
that's why at a 3-year mark, you typically go look, right? Like, how's everyone doing? Like, are we good?
Yeah, how's it
Right? You
doing?
don't always make changes, but you need to go look, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, it depends on the company you're with or whatever, you know, there's a number of ways to do compensation.
Yeah,
And you want to look at trending too. I would say, given the industry that we're in, municipalities, given the struggles that most municipalities are having, if we were to take a snapshot today, the information wouldn't be current enough for us to move proactively because municipalities are struggling. We're struggling to get employees.
Yeah.
So part of salaries are inflated because there's low supply, right? So the demand is high. The other part of it is towns can't pay for it, right? Because everyone doesn't want to go into whatever. So you're not getting an accurate snapshot as to what a fill in the blank type of position really makes out there, right?
Yeah.
Because you might have a town that's like, we're throwing money at every applicant because we can't have these positions vacant, to my town won't allow anything, so we're giving nothing.
Yeah.
You know,
it depends on the time.
it depends on the town, right?
It
So that's
really
why,
does depend on the time.
but my concern is we compare ourselves to towns. Industry doesn't have the same issues going on
Yeah.
for the most part,
Yeah.
and so, you know, when I'm looking for an admin, when I'm looking for an HR, even when I'm looking for a planner, a building, a conservation, there is private sectors that every single one of those jobs can work at. So that's what we're competitive. That's what we are competing with now, not just the town next door.
Yeah, no.
The compensation study, if I remember right, was done with the compact grant.
Mhm.
Is there any language or ability in a compact grant to do a maintenance to a compensation study?
I don't know. Obviously, Keith did it, and I haven't ever been involved in it. That's not to say I can't find out, but
Maybe ask the interim TA if he knows of anything in his past experiences. The point, not that I'm advocating that, but the
But
point is,
here's my concern.
yep,
If we do something that
Yep.
says we're not paying and we can't pay because
Right.
we don't want to increase anything, it hurts us.
no, I'm not, I
Yeah.
guess what I'm asking is, do we have the ability to make the shell? I'm not telling you to make the armory
Yeah.
shell.
Yeah.
I just want to know if we have the ability to make it.
So, and I'm not sure if this is answering your question or not, right? But when I used to do compensation for other companies, right, we would, and I've been in companies where they have 300 jobs and we comp out every single job, right? So, but how the maintenance would work is we would have anchor jobs,
Right.
right? And
You
so,
statistically test them.
right, so,
Mhm.
and you know, this was before things were easier to get, and it would be, all right, I'm gonna pick engineer 3, I'm gonna go and get all my, because we used to do it by
Comps.
surveys.
Yep,
Right, like
Okay, yeah,
this
yeah.
industry does a survey, that industry does a survey, and I'm gonna say, okay, my engineer 3 has gone up, but I'm gonna watch it every year, because if I address it this year, but next year, like, here's the example of HR, right, so most companies, right, there's HR that deals with benefits, there's HR that deals with employee relations, there's HR that deals with, you know, this section, that section, that section, that section. Depending on where the world is at, or at least the United States is at, any one of those sections might be making more than the other section, right? So like when ACA came in, those benefits people were making bank, but when recruitment was difficult, the recruiters were making bank, right? So you can look at all those different sections and say, I'm just going to take all those different sections, combine them, and that is what we pay HR, right? Or in my engineer. My engineer 3, I've been to market. Engineers 3s are staying pretty close to what we have. Oh my God, they had a big year. Let's wait. oh, another big year. Okay, now there's a trend. My engineers 3 have to be moved up, which means my engineer 2's due, my engineers 4 do. So can we, yeah, I told you at the very beginning, engineer or compensation is a science and an art.
And, you know,
Understood,
Yeah.
totally,
yeah,
totally
and
understood.
that's fine. It's just that the, it goes back to what we discussed before. And that was that, you know, I remember when we were in 200, having the discussion about, you know, people coming, you had to come with us over a step 1.
Mm.
And I said, guys, this is silly.
I agree.
Okay,
Yes, yeah.
you're tying their hands behind their back,
Yep.
give them some.
Yep.
So, there may not be an answer to this.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
but I do think it's important on us to discuss it. You know, if everyone coming to us is above a step 3, is there something inherently wrong with the problem, with the idea? And if there is, how can we change the idea? No idea, good or bad, is off the table.
Yeah.
Because I think things have changed to the point where we have to react.
Yeah.
Now, but reaction could also be do nothing.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and I personally, I mean, Derek, your thoughts?
I mean, and this is going back to something Tina said a couple of minutes ago. I guess my concern is if we're comparing ourselves to beyond just other municipalities, we're comparing ourselves to the private sector. We have a unique position in that municipal employees have different benefits than you're looking at in the private sector.
I don't agree
So
with
I
that
just
anymore.
worry that how accurate.
I don't agree with that.
You're doing this, she's doing that.
I'm sorry, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Derek. I mean, in my opinion, and believe me, I call on a lot of municipalities. Okay, and one of the biggest gripes I hear, and these are unsolicited, is you know, used to be a time when we got our health insurance paid for.
Sure.
You know, used to be a time where we had a pension. You know, that's all gone away. And I think what's happened is, quite frankly, I think there is some benefit. You working 35 hours a week instead of having to work 40, there's a benefit.
If you're
Mhm.
hourly.
If not hourly, there's a benefit, okay? The working 4 days a week and having Fridays off is a benefit. Okay, you know, but at the same time, I do think that we are in the same pool of applicants that everybody's in. You know, one of the biggest problems I hear, for instance, is, you know, in my world is I deal with a lot of guys that are in the highway departments, and finding a mechanic that isn't more than just a brake and an oil change guy is real hard to find, because you're only going to pay them 30-40 bucks an hour. Whereas the mechanic that goes over to Ford is going to make somewhere around 70 bucks an hour. And he's going to have basically the same health benefits you have. He's going to have this quite a number of the same holidays off. You know, he may have to adjust his schedule to work a Saturday but we have that too. If you go to our transfer station, you know, our guys have to work the weekends. So, I think that gap has narrowed. I think there is some differences, don't get me wrong, but I think that gap has narrowed than what it used to be. You know, I just think the whole purpose of this discussion tonight is not to make any decisions, but just to put the thought out there. Are we doing everything we can to get qualified people for the jobs we have at the price we want to pay? That's basically what our problem is. Are we doing enough? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Is there anything we can do as a board to make that easier for the administration? And that's the reason why I asked this to be put on the agenda for a discussion. So, to be honest with you, I think you're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, and you kind of highlighted some of the things that I would phrase. I think that, I mean, granted, we'll see how this administration plays out, but I think there's a stability element too that we offer with the municipal employees that the private sector certainly does not sort of convey. And, you know, how you value that's one of those big, like, whatevers. And how do you value the other various kind of life benefits there. But I mean, one of the things that I was kind of there that I was a fan of, and I think, and not to kind of digress too much, was when Tina's discussion about, and I know this is somewhat related to the comp study, but posting sort of when we are having when what the salary range that would be ideal for the town would be, some versus just the entire step range that we have. And I know we discussed that at last town meeting as well. So at least that way, if we're getting applicants in, they have a realistic expectation.
Yeah, and so just recently, actually, in Massachusetts, the law changed where we do have to post the whole range for every job, but an employer can say, you know, we're expecting to pay around this particular, whatever, you know, step, whatever it is. And we do that with some positions, like our librarians. We've done that in the past to say, you know, here's the 10 steps, because we have to post that. But, you know, this is an entry level position. We're not expecting to pay more than step 3, you know. So I think we did a similar thing with the TA, like here's the whole range,
Yeah,
but we're expecting this dollar amount.
I know back in the day, most people came to a municipal job for the benefits, not so much for the money.
Right.
So then all of a sudden in the last 20 years, it's changed from we want both. Because they're looking at the private sector and you really can't compare the two. Private sector, I tell people all the time, private sector is for profit. Municipalities for service, and they're not conducive to each other.
Yeah,
They're
I
not.
mean, you know, there are some nonprofits that, you know.
Yeah, no, as a rule,
Yeah.
I'm not saying every single
Yeah.
person, but as
you
a
know,
rule,
Same thing with like the, you know.
how do you do
Well,
this?
So, so like, again, way back in the day, right, before there were any laws for employment, you know, that was one of the reasons that unions became so strong, because
Yes.
employers weren't treating employees
No,
well,
they
right?
were
But now there are all these laws, like, don't overheat, don't do this, don't do that, pay fair, you know, and all rightfully so, right? So a similar thing has happened on the benefits and compensation side with private sector, because, and I was just talking about this the other day, like, you know, when these big companies were like, we're gonna not pay our pensions anymore. Sorry, everyone. You know, the government was like, no, you can't do that. And so they made private sector do these huge things. Like I've worked with, and you know, my clients and colleagues are, you know, you work for a private sector now, private,
Yeah,
public,
private
private.
sector.
You work for a private sector now, nonprofit, academia, whatever. They are required to make you start saving for retirement, right? And so they automatically have to say, we're taking 3% and we're putting it in our 401k, and you have to opt out of it, right? Because the government realized, oh my God, no one is prepared for. And then when these companies were like, oh, sorry, just kidding, no pension for you, they were like, oh my gosh, right? So all these laws were put into place, right? So if municipalities' big carrot was these great pensions, I'm not saying it's not a great pension, but these companies are getting there, and they're getting there in 2 years for vesting, not 10. And they're getting there with here's your match, and here's your this, and here's your that.
Mhm.
And so, and you can still get Social Security afterwards, which we can now do as well.
On a municipality, they adjust they windfall.
Right, it depends
Windfall
on how much,
elimination.
right?
It's like, yeah, hello, dude, came as a shock to me.
Well, that changed.
Now, they're adjusting. So now they're talking about other changes. It's like, you know, it makes you nuts. All right.
So sorry.
All right, well,
I
That's
am
okay.
passionate about my
This is-
career.
This
I'm gonna
I
end
doubt the three of us
discussion.
are going to solve the employment
No,
crisis
no, we're not
facing
gonna
the
solve
United
it.
States.
I would like to know if there is any ability in a compact grant to
Yep.
get a maintenance
Yep.
look.
Yeah.
You know, it's a thought off the top of my head, maybe not. And I don't know if there's anything available. And that let's say there is, and we're past the deadline, well, it's something we should do for 27.
Yeah.
You know, and make sure it's on the agenda. So
Yeah.
this discussion will happen again.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
We should.
and it should. It should.
Yeah.
I'm glad we had it, but it should. Anything else for the good of the group?
Just the October 20th.
No, after that,
After
as far as what we've talked about.
Oh, okay,
No.
yeah.
Okay, so The minutes from October 20th, Derek, did you look at them?
I did. I
Any
had no
questions,
comments.
issues?
None.
Okay, I didn't have any either. Uh,
I didn't either.
I'll take a motion.
Lorraine.
Oh, I move
It's either you
approval.
or me, Derek.
Yeah.
You have to make the motion to
Oh,
accept the
yeah,
minutes.
I move approval of the meeting minutes for the Wage and Personnel Board from October 20th, 2025.
Okay, I'll second it
As written.
as written.
As written,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Oh.
Okay, Derek,
This ring. I
Yes.
just keep looking.
Jim, yes, Lorraine, abstain.
Staying.
Yeah. Okay,
And then we
Uh,
didn't vote on them for September either, I believe.
No, but I forgot to put them on the agenda. I
Oh,
realized
okay.
that.
we can do them at the December meeting. The meeting date for December is December 15th. Anybody have an issue with it?
No,
No.
no, no,
Okay.
no. Where's my giant book?
And you have a list of stuff we want for it. So,
Oh, yes.
yeah. And
Yeah.
Tina has a whole list of things too, so,
Okay, so 6
Hmm.
o'clock.
okay. And if I can help you at all with anything,
Yeah.
please let me know. Okay, as far as
You want to do
research,
retiree medical? No, okay.
as far as research or anything, or makeup phone.
Come on.
Okay, anything else for the good of the group?
Do you want the consent agenda?
No,
No.
no, Okay. Nothing else for the good of the group?
No, I think everything's
All right, I'll take a
fine.
motion to end the meeting at 7:46.
So moved.
Okay, Derek,
I'll second.
okay, can I get a vote? Derek,
Yes.
Lorraine,
Yes.
Jim, yes.
are
Thank
so
you,
good.
everybody.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Okay.
Hi,
Good
Derek.
night,
Good
Derek.
luck.